I'm going to show you how to do a quick install of the cloud theme. So there's several components to it, but the main one is the CSS file that you can include in your site. So I'm going to copy that. Make sure you copy all of that code. And then Cloud Theme works a little different than our traditional themes in Higher Logic. I'm going to copy that, and I'm just getting started. I'm just going to do a test install just on a single page, so I can make a new content item. Just label that the CSS, because maybe I don't want to install this on my entire site yet. Normally we can install it in a site-wide include that loads above our content, but for now I'm just going to go into HTML mode here, hit OK, and I want this to load at the top of my content, so I'm just going to leave it in section 1, and then I'll hit save. Now, there's not much going on here. All we did was add that CSS item, but now I know that CSS item is loading on the page, just this page, not the entire site. And now if I go back over to the garden, I can test out something simple. Let's do HTML cards. Now these are the several examples of the cards. I'm just going to go to the very first one, 4 cards across. It's a nice layout, uses Flexbox, and this requires, I can see here, it requires grid CSS. That's what I just installed on that page. I'm going to hit copy code, go back over to my page here, and then I will make a new content item. Cards 4 across. I'll leave the title on. I'll leave that in section 1. And by the way, this one you do want to load it in a full width content item. So I'm still in the old admin, but in the new admin there's an option to make your row go full width. So I do want it to be full width. And then I'm going to go into HTML mode again. I just pasted what I had copied, and then I'm going to make note of the very first commented item here in the code, add classes to the control wrapper. So I just have 4 of them, CG layout, CG cards, col4, that stands for column 4. I'm going to hit OK. I can see I've got some content in there. I'm just going to paste those three classes there. And let's hit save. And actually, we want to make sure CSS is at the top. I'm just going to cut and paste that so we have CSS at the top. Then I'm going to hit view. And now I can see I've got my 4 cards going across the page. And we do want to make sure we're being responsive here. That's looking good. So that's the basis of Cloud Theme. Everything kind of builds upon the grid system that is set up in the grid CSS file. So now I can set up columns of content within a single control. So HTML control, of course. We can do it with discussions, events, pretty much any control. Also, the all content feed looks a lot better when we start adding columns. So that is how you install the grid CSS file. That's the primary component of Cloud Theme. We've installed the Cloud Theme grid file. We're going to, actually what I had just done is move that file to the site-wide include. So if we go to site setup and then layout, we'll see these are our additional site-wide content. So I already had a content item called content AC. When I use AC, just means above content. So I already had that page code set up, but if we go to my navigation, content AC is right here. So I just moved that cloud theme grid to content AC. Now it's loading on my whole site. And if we go back to my test page, I've added one other control or widget, discussion widget, and it's all using the same grid. You can see here now we have two content items. One is just HTML, our original cards, and now discussions. We can put our discussions in a multi-column grid. And the classes used there, a little easier for discussions. Once you set up your discussions control, there's just a few utility classes. CG layout, that's the same one we used for the cards. And then CG grid, col4, stands for 4-column, so that's the same one we used for the cards. And then BG1 just gives it that slight gray background color. So if we go back, we can see just that slight background color, and our spacing is all kind of evened out. It's all kind of based on the grid system that I've set up to work within individual controls.